Hello and welcome back to the Global Gaming Network Power Rankings. We've got League of Legends. The LTA Championship is fast approaching in Texas. Only 6 teams even qualified for it. So today on Power Rankings, we're going to rank the top 6 teams in the region, of course, with our normal formula. Joined with me today is going to be Chris. How are we doing today, Chris?
I'm doing really good. I'm really looking forward to it because this is the first time we are having this LTA Championship come across. Both of the regions mixed together to see who goes to Worlds. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and just real quick, if you could give us a kind of brief explanation, how does it work? How are they gonna decide which teams go to Worlds?
Yeah, so as you've already seen, we've had our champions from both North and South. And what that means is since both of those teams already go to that upper bracket semifinals, meaning that they will place within the top 3 for the LTA Championship, they automatically get into Worlds. Now we do have to have seeding though, so we'll have to see who gets that grand champion to get that first place for the LTA North, but the others will qualify as well.
Okay, so yeah, even though FlyQuest won the North Championship, they also will be playing as the #1 seed in this tournament as well. So they'll still have to be battling it out and see if they can get that #1 seed. The better seed that you get going into Worlds, the better your chances are to make a deep run. So with that now understood, let's go ahead and jump into the rankings. So for number 5 on the list, it's going to be Red. So either Canids or Kalunga, whatever you want to call them. But this team has been kind of up and down, topsy-turvy throughout the year, to be honest. They have won against just about everyone. They went undefeated in the pick and play stage for stage 3, including a win on Pain. But then when they matched up against Pain in the bracket, they actually got 3-0'd by them. So this team seems kind of hot or cold, but they've got some star players. They've got Kaze and Rebello. Do you think that these 2 players' flexibility will be able to carry them to a potential qualification?
Well, it has to be at this moment. There's no if it can. It's a must or do or die situation. But as we've seen, Kaze has had about 14 champions that he's played over the course of split 3. But it comes down to what are we going to see out of them? Are we going to see the one that beat Pain? Because they do have to play 100 Thieves first. It's a really tough matchup, and it's not one that I think that they can really win right now. But they have shown really good signs of strength going forward, and especially Rebello. He's had a high KDA throughout the whole entire split 3, and he is someone that is very aggressive. And if he can get on some of those aggressive champions, especially maybe if he can get that Yunara going forward as well, he can have a lot of strength and be able to carry his team with the potential. And as well as Kaze, that flexibility is good, but maybe if it's shared a little bit on that pool with the team that they might be playing, it could play against them a little bit because he might play some of those weaker champs that he may not know as well, despite playing them before, hasn't always won in every single one of them. So it's going to be a really big depending on what we see out of them coming forward, but right now they are with their backs against the wall.
Yeah, this is a team that I feel like probably needs to get an early lead in most of the games and then like ride that snowball to get a victory against better teams. But I feel like even in that case, they might just get outplayed in the macro game if it comes to late game. So we'll have to see how they fare on the international stage against some of the best in the West out here. But let's go ahead and get into number 4 on the list, and that is going to be Shopify Rebellion. They come in with a score of 82, and this team has been up and down. They were also undefeated in their pick and play stage. The toughest team that they beat was 100 Thieves, but it's kind of the same story I just told about Red. They then lost to 100 Thieves in the bracket. Fudge has been absolutely monstrous, though. I love watching Fudge play. This Cho'Gath is one of my favorite ones to watch, just eating all the objectives and the enemy champions on the map. Do you think that this team can kind of keep up with the pace that the rest of the teams have been showing so far?
I'm a little bit skeptical on it. What we've seen out of Shopify Rebellion, as you say, Fudge playing some of these high tank champs, is that they like to play a really slow pace and then seeing if they can kind of get some of those objective and macro plays and kind of force the other teams into bad situations. So we usually see really low kill games. And I'm not sure if a lot of these teams from Brazil are going to allow them to do that, as well as teams such as 100 Thieves and FlyQuest, who have been really on par with just setting a really big and fast pace for the game and then having other teams adjust to it. So now we'll have to see if Shopify can adjust to some of that quicker paced games and really make up for it. Also, are we going to see Palafox or Palafaker is going to be a big question. If we're seeing Palafox, they may not do too well, but if we can get some of those Palafaker plays out, like that Victor pentakill that we saw last split, they can have a really good chance at going forward in this tournament.
Okay, yeah, we know Shopify have a lot of huge fans. I'm a fan of the organization as well. This has got to be one of the best organizations in all of esports, in my opinion. So on that front, I'm rooting for them, but it's going to be tough going into this tournament. So that's enough about Shopify. Let's talk about number 3 on the list. That's going to be 100 Thieves. So this placement might surprise a couple people, but they're kind of on a hot streak right now. This team was 0-3 in their pick and play stage, but then they became the Grim Reaper of the lower bracket. They knocked out a lot of fan favorites, including Cloud9. So I think maybe some Cloud9 fans a little upset with them right now, but they're also easy to root for. Do you think they can kind of keep up this hot streak as they approach this tournament?
It'll be definitely interesting to see because we do know that they just lost the FlyQuest, and as you said, this is their first loss from elimination phase 1 into number 2, and they've shown a lot of strengths, but they have shown some weaknesses, especially against really aggressive teams like FlyQuest and the diversity of FlyQuest as well. But we have to talk about River. We have to talk about, you know, what he's impacted with the team so far. FBI doing a really good job as well. A lot of these players are making up a lot of great strengths for the team, and I think the leadership can definitely bring them into that 3rd slot. Right now, they are on a hot streak, and they're definitely looking like that number 3 favorite. But to beat Vivo or to beat someone like FlyQuest, I really think they have to step up their game just a little bit more, be a lot cleaner with their plays, and then they can find themselves possibly in that grand final situation.
Yeah, this team is, a lot of people were a little skeptical about when they took Sniper out of the top lane, put Dokla in, but Dokla's really stepped up. He's been doing just fine as well. Of course, there's a little bit of drama between him and Pwipo right now, which most people are talking about. So we'll have to see if that comes into play if they face off against each other again. Will the fist bump finally come out? I guess we'll see.
We'll have to see from there.
But enough about them. Let's talk about number 2 on the list. It's going to be the hottest team in LTA South right now in the current moment, and that's going to be Vivo Keyd Stars, VKS. Of course, they just won the LTA South bracket. The reality is the South has historically struggled against the North, but this team might actually have a chance to pull an upset that people don't expect against one of the Northern teams. Do we think that this 2nd place finish in our power rankings is, I guess, indicative of their capability?
I definitely think it's warranted, especially after the run that they had through their playoffs. They went into the upper bracket stage, completely dominated competition, and then get into the grand finals. It was almost like a speed run. I remember coming into the office and I was just like, oh, the series is almost over. Only into game number 3 did we see some fight back from Red at that time. And we're taking a look at Miru, taking a look at Morpheus as well as Trimby in those bot lane. They're just completely dominating a lot of their lane opponents that they're going through right now. And I definitely think if you take a look at the mid lane, match them up with someone against Quid or Quad, depending on who makes it from 100 Thieves or FlyQuest themselves, you can definitely see a lot of, you know, pushback and fight against it. Now, the question for me is just how can they move across the jungle? Are they going to be able to really face off against someone like Inspired or someone like River and then force themselves into that top 2 situation or maybe even the grand final championship?
It would be awesome to see. It would also be historic because, like we mentioned, the South just hasn't been able to compete with the North as well. But this does kind of feel like maybe one of their best chances yet with this roster. Few teams that aren't even on this list because they didn't qualify for the championship, like Furia and other regions from the South, have been putting up good fights against us here in the North. So we'll have to see how that all plays out, but it is finally time to reveal the number 1 team on the list. Who else would it be? Of course, it's FlyQuest. This team has been the poster children of the North here and even the West as a whole. I mean, they've even done well internationally. They put up good fights against some of the Eastern teams. So I'm very excited to watch them continue on. Of course, they've already qualified for the World Championship, but this is going to be an important step for them to have a good seed going into Worlds. My question is, do you think anyone's even going to take a game off of FlyQuest in this tournament?
I think a game, maybe so. A series, I don't think so at this point. And that just goes back to what we were talking about with the 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest in this series. I mean, they just absolutely dominated them. The one game they got taken off, you looked and they maybe looked a little shaky, but then after that, they completely turned it up to 11. A game that they lost to Shopify Rebellion. They used Gakos at that time as well. You know, so you're taking a look at maybe someone can take games off if they throw something special into the mix. But when you have Inspired leading the team, you're just completely almost out macroed half of the time, but then also Wad's step up in this split number 3 has looked so good, especially since MSI. Busio, of course, has just been absolutely laying off people, probably one of the best, bards in the West right now. I think this team will just completely run everyone at the moment. If someone's able to take a series off of them, I will be really surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like they're ahead in every category. I mean, in every lane, they have the best, if not the second best player in that lane or role. Their bot lane is absolutely insane. Masu might have a couple Masu moments from time to time, but Busio is usually there to clean up the problems. So very excited to see them, and also continuing into Worlds, how they're going to fare. But there is, of course, the last team. This was a conversation about 6 teams that will be competing in this tournament. The last place finisher was going to be Pain. It's just really hard to put them anywhere else, if we're being completely honest. This team has had some good wins. Let's be real. Like, they've actually defeated a lot of different teams in this region. But recently, their last 2 matchups, they lost 3-1 and then 3-0. So it feels like they're kind of on a downward trend. Do we think that they can maybe relive some of the highs they had earlier in the year once they come to this tournament?
I think it'll be really hard going into a tournament like this where we have all the top dogs from each region, especially when they've been beaten consistently before getting up to it. They weren't able to make the grand finals, which is obviously why we're leaving them off of the top 5, whereas Red was able to beat them and get there. Yes, they beat Red before in one of the matches in the elimination phase split 1, but they weren't able to beat them again afterwards, which means that yes, they got some highs, but their kind of lows are overshadowing them at the moment. We'll have to see if maybe they're able to bring back some of that former glory that they saw previously at the very beginning of split number 1. If they can, maybe we can see them take maybe 1 round, but I still think it'll be hard pressed for them to get to the grand finals.
Yeah, to be completely honest, LTA South has been a little bit unpredictable at times, and it feels like a lot of the teams have high ceilings, but also low floors. So we'll have to see if Pain can bring their high ceiling. They're going to need to if they're going to compete against the rest of the teams in this tournament. But this has been an awesome conversation. I'm really excited to watch this tournament. It's going to be starting on the 13th and doesn't end until the 28th, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
It's going to be a very long tournament, lots of intense matches to watch, so make sure you guys don't miss it. On that note, don't miss any of the other power rankings that we have here on the Global Gaming Network. We rank every game that you can think of. If there's a big tournament coming up for it, we're probably doing a power rankings on it. So make sure you guys tune in to the rest of it, and we'll see you guys in the next video.